I often hear people commenting on this upward cascading vocal line in the song Aspaklaria.
So Aspaklaria kind of introduces us to Jarmila, to her voice in a spectacular way at the beginning with that absolutely exquisite ascending run of notes. Yeah. And it's a deeply spiritual opening.
I've only just realised that years after writing it, in fact I've realised that only a week ago, that this ascending line of notes that you referred to at the beginning, they're climbing up to, as if trying to reach heavens. I've suddenly realised that it must be as if evoking heavens, but it's a completely unplanned songwriting. It's not a decision that I made consciously, it just happened to have happened that way.
All requests are dream come true.
On Aspaklaria, I think the vocals it's a really extraordinary sound, especially the way it's layered. And I remember at one point, you think the voice is basically Jarmila's going up, I guess in octaves, and you think it's going to stop at a certain point, and then it carries on, and before you know it, she's singing a note which you didn't think was humanly possible to sing. It's amazing to hear an artist at the top of their game, really pushing their voice into the outer limits, I guess.
There's that wonderful bit, our favourite bit, where she sings, goes up that scale and ends up on this high note.
That's the first 15 seconds of the title track, Aspaklaria.
Yes.
If I had to introduce somebody to Jarmila Gorna, I would play the first 30 seconds of that song, because you get the full 4 octaves of the voice, and she just takes you up into a realm where...
Yes, it's a unique musical moment, that, and only she could do that. Only she would come up with it. Can't imagine anybody else doing it.
The title is a very beautiful word, and it comes from Aramaic. And I wonder if that's a particular interest of yours, or, absolutely fine if it's just a beautiful word, or are you especially interested in the historic language too?
The subject matter of the song is quite ethereal, mystical, spiritual. And I must admit that when writing it, I wasn't really planning for it to reach the skies or reach the heavens, if you like. It just sort of fell into place without any conscious involvement, and it ended up with a song speaking of spiritual heights, of having a crystal clear spiritual vision, of being a visionary, of being in tune with it all.
I think Jarmila is one of the most intensely idealistic and spiritually orientated people that I've ever met.
Also having such a line that reaches some sort of a peak and reaches the heights, if you like, elevated vocal line, I guess.
So if you listen to the vocals and the way that she can shape it and kind of ride a tune, it's incredible. It's just beautifully turned, like just seeing someone making a statue and just getting the line just perfect.
I always think the first tracks of albums set the bar for the rest of the album. The first thing people hear is probably the most important thing they hear. And I love the track. It's extremely beautiful.
Thank you.
The level of production, musicianship, mixing, and your voice is just exquisite.
Thank you.
And the very first thing we get is this beautiful ascending vocal of yours. Da da dee da dee da dee da dee. I think the song is a kind of song to yourself. It feels to me as if Aspaklaria is you singing to yourself, giving yourself spiritual reassurance. How would you describe this track?
How would I describe? I've always treated it as a prayer. Actually, it's a request
from you.
It's an ambition and a request I would like to meet, to become a transparent vessel for the divine will, if you like.
You know me. You know my name.
The word, which is Aramaic, actually means a lens.
Perhaps prayers are a form of spiritual reassurance, mind you, so who knows? But I was asking, Aspaklaria aspiration to become this transparent vessel for the higher reality, shall we say, a divine will. Whatever light goes through it comes out on the other side of it, pure as it came in, the divine will going through that transparent vessel, the lens. On the other side of that lens, the ambition, and the prayer is that it should come out void of ego, undistorted.
Let the light shine through me. All rays undistorted.
It's a lovely name of the album, Aspaklaria. Very lovely. Yes, beautiful.
Thank you.
Mysterious, and
Sounds
there's
good,
lots of sounds behind that's gonna take people for a journey.
See, this is a funny thing because my first album called Hashgacha, and everybody's always having a little bit of a trouble pronouncing it, but now I'm running a little survey amongst friends, and this is the second album and it's called Aspaklaria. I thought it's going to be a mouthful again, but tongue twister, but I'm getting a similar feedback to what you're just saying, that Aspaklaria sounds nice. It just...
it sounds birdie. It sounds quite high. Birdie. I've got no idea whether there's a word like bird in English. Never mind, you know what I mean.
Make up a new word.
I just hope that people will fly with sounds you've done.
Aspaklaria, be my name.
Very different from her last album, and I was very excited to hear her sing with words because, as you know, the last album was expressed very deeply through just sound and voice, and I was very satisfied.
Thank you for this wonderful new album. I must say that the first thing that strikes me about it is last time we had your pieces, which when I saw you play live came with descriptions of the intent of them, but they had no words. This time we have lyrics. So tell me a little bit about the process that's brought you to songwriting as opposed to composition with vocalizing in it.
Let the light shine through me. This is the first album I've heard of yours with words, and Hashgacha, of course, was a wordless album. So the first thing with the first track is we get you singing your words, your own lyrics. And a
quite a surprise to me as well.
Let the light shine through me.
The first song, Aspaklaria, it was, almost a shock to hear Jarmila speak and then say, "My name is Dreamer," and then it just becomes so beautiful with all these layers of harmony and piano and guitar and voices and all these wonderful skills that she has.
What's so lovely about the opening of the title track is that you literally introduce yourself to the listeners.
How so?
Yeah, with your given name and...
right.
The words?
My name is Dreamer. My name is not Jarmila Xymena Gorna. My name is actually Dreamer.
It's lovely. It's really the curtains opening on the album. Hi, my name is Dreamer.
Hi, my name is Dreamer.
interesting because the moment the baby is out of the nest, of the mother's nest, that is it. I have to say goodbye, Aspaklaria. And now you can be interpreted in as many different ways as there are people who will hear it.
It's for her a lifelong quest to use her art, her voice, her music, to explore the really deep questions, to really try to understand what it means to be human. And this, her interest in spiritual matters and in mysticism is something that's very noticeable and very appealing.
You know, there's a quote that comes from the Talmud, from Yevamot 49b, that says, Kol hanaviim nistaklu be'aspaklaria she'eina me'ira. Moshe Rabbeinu nistakel be'aspaklaria ha'me'ira. And that translates, all spiritual visionaries saw through an unclear lens, and Moses saw through a clear lens, through a completely transparent, clear lens. Who would not want to be like him? Was my subconscious thinking or intuiting when writing that song. To be so aligned to the source of it all, which, for a lack of a better word, is often referred to as God, whatever that might mean. It's an English word, but you know, I mean, the concept of God is obviously quite vast, I would imagine. So whatever that is, would one not want to be like that? Would one not want to be godly, in fact? Would one not want to have that sort of indescribably amazing perception of it all, and to be always aligned with the source of it all, and to always act as if one was in perfect harmony with it all, to interact with the world around, with others, with the greater cosmos in such a way that guarantees making the right choices. So to always be aligned with one's preordained sense of existence, to travel on the path that was one's preordained timeline, if you like. Anything that's otherwise equates to stepping out of one's existence, sort of stepping out of that timeline that one was meant to travel on. And so this was my understanding of the concept of Aspaklaria ha'me'ira, that clear, transparent lens that enables a perfectly clear vision, and therefore that then translates itself to appropriate action in one's life. And that quote from the Talmud is the source of that particular translation of the term Aspaklaria ha'me'ira, or Aspaklaria me'ira, the clear lens. However, there is another translation of the word Aspaklaria, and that translation comes from Rabbi Ovadia bar Tenura. According to Rabbi Ovadia bar Tenura, the word Aspaklaria can be translated as a mirror. So now we have a juxtaposition of two seemingly contradicting terms. One meaning a clear lens and another one meaning a mirror. So one allows for the rays or waves to pass through it in an undistorted way, especially when it's completely clear that the image on the other side comes out exactly in the same way as what was projected into it. And the other meaning expresses a concept of reflection, let's say of shining light onto the mirror and that light then being reflected back. For those of you who are familiar with how Jewish mysticism works, very often words have more than one meaning. In fact, Hebrew words would have 70 different layers upon layers of meaning. And so I've been pondering, what is it trying to teach us? On the one hand, Aspaklaria means a lens. On the other hand, it means a mirror. And I have come up with this idea when one is devoid of one's ego, when one is only channeling the divine vision and the divine will, not altering it in any way, and certainly not corrupting it in any way, then one is actually like a transparent lens that lets the rays simply pass through and come out intact, undistorted on the other side. But imagine when one is full of one's ego and that lens is far from transparent, it's being tarnished. You kind of imagine a lens becoming a mirror. It's got that layer of silver on the other side. Then the only thing that one sees is the reflection of oneself. When one is void of any ego and one really shines a pure, brilliant light through one's actions, then one is, of course, Aspaklaria, meaning a clear, transparent, pristine lens. However, when ego is involved, all one gets to see is the reflection of one's very self. Keep shining on that pure light.
Let the light shine through me.